Pros and cons of living in Apollo Beach. Have you ever heard of Apollo Beach? It's a beautiful little town here in the suburbs of Tampa. So we'll just get right into everything. I'm Kaitlyn, a local realtor in the Tampa Bay area, and today we're talking about pros and cons of living in Apollo Beach. One of the pros is that it's close to water. Most of Apollo Beach is actually built right on the water, on the canals, and it's a beautiful, amazing area. So with it being right on the water and everything, there's tons and tons of waterfront living. Most people think the ultimate thing about living in the Tampa Bay area is waterfront living, and Apollo Beach is the perfect example. The best thing about Apollo Beach as well is its small town feel. No matter where you are in the community or out and about in a small local mom and pop shop or whatever, you're going to find people you may know, and that's just ultimate small town feeling for a lot of people. As I mentioned, mom and pop shops, there's tons of local small businesses right in Apollo Beach. It's actually not full of tons and tons of fast food chains or franchises or anything like that. Most everything is just the one owner that lives right in the Apollo Beach community, which is fantastic. So another pro about Apollo Beach is that it's got a convenient drive to beaches and Tampa in general, as well as tons of attractions. And with that being said, there's tons and tons of growth coming to Apollo Beach. So they are going to be getting a little more of those big box stores and things like that here very soon. Granted, some people do view that growth as a con, but for the overall health and well-being of Apollo Beach, it can be a little bit of both, but the big pro is the growth. Again, Apollo Beach is a great place to retire, but not actually be in a retirement community. So you're just in a community around other people, families, younger people, whatever the case may be, without being in a retirement community. Another person also mentioned that it's mostly residential, where you have to actually drive to go and get to any big box stores or more of the retail kinds of things and everything. And she thought that was a great pro about Apollo Beach, is that it's got that more country, small town thing about it. Last but not least, if you move to Apollo Beach and you get on Facebook and you join one of the great local Apollo Beach groups, there's a few more well-known names in that group that are always there to bring a laugh, keep you engaged, and they all bring this great, unique help to the community. So some of the cons to Apollo Beach would be the weather. If you don't like the heat, I mean, as I've mentioned before, here in the Tampa Bay area, it's hot almost all the time. So again, in Apollo Beach, you're going to find if you don't like the heat and maybe like those change in seasons and everything, Apollo Beach may not be the best place for you. With there being so much waterfront living, there is a very high probability and a very high chance of you living in a flood zone. So make sure that you speak to whoever your favorite professional is that can give you that information, whether it be your real estate agent or even your insurance person that can chat with you about where exactly your home in Apollo Beach falls in the flood zones. Again, a pro and a con to Apollo Beach is that growth, like I said. Many people who have lived in Apollo Beach for many years aren't huge fans of all the growth that's coming and how many pastures and places of open land and stuff like that are being torn down and turned into neighborhoods or more shopping or more schools. And so that could be definitely a con side of the growth in Apollo Beach. Though, to be completely fair, they're growing like that in all of the Tampa Bay area, whether here in Hillsborough County, up in Pasco County, over into Pinellas, the Tampa Bay area is just growing exponentially. There you have it, the pros and cons to living in Apollo Beach. If you'd like more information about Apollo Beach in the Tampa suburbs and all of the Tampa Bay area, subscribe. If you loved this video, check out my one about things to do in Apollo Beach.